Hi guys, Charles here and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be looking at a progression I did for my hybrid scales video, which you can see up here. I had a few pleasant comments asking about what the progression was, so I thought I'd break that down today. So we'll start by having a listen to the backing track I played in the hybrid scales video to give you an idea of the sounds we're going to be creating today. Then I'll dive into it and break down the chord voicings. Not a huge amount to get into in this one, guys. It's all pretty simple stuff which we've covered many times before on the channel, so we'll fly through it. So when creating this progression, I was channeling Tim Miller, Allan Holdsworth, Mick Goodrick style vibes and really focusing on smaller chord voicings over a C bass drone. Now, whether or not you think all of this is in C major is a personal thing. I'm thinking of the C major tonality and taking the Allan Holdsworth approach to harmony, which is that as long as you are using notes from the C major scale, then any one of those notes can represent that chord. So according to Holdsworth rules, you could have D, F and B as a C major chord. This also is very similar to the Mick Goodrick, Tim Miller generic modality compression approach, where really the scale the notes are chosen from is more important than the specific notes of the chord itself. So a C chord doesn't have to be C, E, G when we're taking this style of harmony. Why am I not getting any... Oh, not plugged in. Just before we dive into looking at each chord individually, like I did in the Eric Johnson video, I started by trying to think of a melody. Now, to voice lead through a chord progression, you don't need a very sophisticated melody at all. So the melody that we're outlining with this progression sounds something along these lines. Notice how simple and I wouldn't say boring, but it's not sophisticated at all. A very nursery rhyme type melody, if you like. Now I'm going to add the chords below, and hopefully you can still pick out that melody on the top. Although it does very much depend on how good my right hand technique is, and it's not very good. Let's see if we can still bring that melody out. So this first chord I spoke about quite a while ago in my Rethinking Chords Tim Miller style video, and it's simply that E shape that we all know and love, but we move it down a string, so we're on the low E string and up a fret. So it's just that E shape, but we're now using it to play a C chord. Now we know this is a C chord. If we take our cowboy C chord, we'll often play the low G on that as well. So just these bottom three notes is our next chord. We've got here B, E and G, which is technically E minor, but we're over the note C from the bass, which gives us, if I play that up here instead, we'd have this sound. Then from there, we're going to move to this all 5th fret voicing. So this is 5-5-5 on the A, D and G string, which kind of gives us a C add 2, or a C5 add 2 because there's no third. So we've got a C triad, technically an E minor triad, and then a C with a second and no third. On the A string and G string, we're going to move up to the 7, but we're going to keep this 5th fret on the D string. So we've got E, G and D, which is again a kind of E minor 7. this instance though, it's, if we think of it in C, it's E is the third, G is the fifth, D is the second, so it's a C major 9. Next up we've got this lovely chord voicing. Now I talked about this voicing in the 4 jazz chords you need to know video. It's just a major 7, E, B, C, G, but it's got this beautiful semitone clash in the middle between the root and the major 7. So we've got... Then, to get this next voicing, I only need to move my first and second finger, my index finger and middle finger, and they're going to go to the 8th fret of the A string and the 7th fret of the G string, which is another voicing that I used in the 4 chords you need to know video. And this is a kind of a G7. Now, it is a G7, but if we think of it as C major, these are just the notes F, B, D and G. They're just some of the notes of the C major scale, so they're perfectly capable of presenting as a C major chord. So the next chord, 5, 9, 5, 8. Now this is kind of a double suspension because these are both going to move down. So you could think of this as a D minor 7 with a suspended 4th and a suspended 6 or 13. Going down to that classic D minor 7 shape. So we've got all the 5s, which you may think of as a D11 chord, D, G, C, E, or you can think of it as, we've got G, C and E there with a D in the bass, so we've got a C add 2. This one here, this is a lovely chord, 7, 7, 5, 5. It's a C major chord in its 3rd inversion, which means the 7th, which is B, is in the bass. And then we're back to where we started. So the whole progression goes something like this. So hopefully you got something out of that lesson, guys. As always, try your best to think of scales and key centers rather than worrying about the exact notes in a chord. Please make sure you like and subscribe. If you do appreciate what I'm doing here on this channel, then please do make sure that bell is dinged. It makes a massive difference. And as always, I hope you're all doing well and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.